This program was pre-recorded.
You've entered the Fletch Nation with Roy Fletcher, political analyst and socio-political prophet, and Kevin Gallagher, TV and podcast host and opinionated jackhole. So settle in, grab a beverage. It's time to talk some politics. It's Fletch Nation. Now here are the boys.
Sorry. Hey, welcome to Fletch Nation. Glad to have you with us once again. Coming at you on, this is Wednesday the 18th
My
of January.
man Kevin has
Yes,
lost
we are
his damn
recording this
mind.
program. Yeah, you know, I laugh because I must not cry. But here we are at the Old School Barbecue Smokehouse at 10655 Coursey Boulevard in the state capital, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's just moments off of Interstate 12. I'll just take the airline exit.
Just moments. Seconds.
And I'm telling you, good.
The best.
Good barbecue.
Really good.
Homemade, real, honest to goodness, homemade. Nothing comes out of a can or a bottle here. So, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, Kevin, and yourself?
Well, it's been an interesting week of events. I've been paying attention to Biden and Document Gate, or whatever you want to call it. Garage Gate. Vet Gate.
Garage Gate.
I like Vet Gate.
Car Gate, whatever the hell it is. It's an issue that, or a situation that has so many nuances and rivers and streams, and a very, very fascinating situation. But I guess that we now know that there have been at least 3 locations, maybe 4, where documents have been found, and the dribble and drip of the documents is kind of interesting. The question is, the first thing, these documents, they say, were found in early November of last year.
Before the midterm.
6 days before the midterm. That's what they say, but we don't know. Here's what we do know. They were at one of them was at the Biden, there were several of them, a number of them, were at the Biden Center for Diplomatic Immunity. I'm joking. Diplomacy. That was the think tank. Another.
That's at Penn University in Philadelphia. Am I right?
Yeah, University of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And an Ivy League school. And the situation was that this Penn Center had been opened sometime in 18, I believe, 17 or 18. I think 18. And it's a think tank. I know this is an oxymoron, Joe Biden think tank. But the point of it is that that's what it supposedly was. Biden was paid $900,000 for leading it or whatever.
Lending his name to it.
Yes, whatever. It was a nice way to, and then of course
name, image, and likeness deal.
Yes, and then of course the $54 million that was used for it and came in from the Republic of China. The CCP.
Why? You're joking me.
No, but let's just pass that about for a second. So, what does a think tank normally do?
Well,
besides thinking. I mean,
they generally release statements to the media and stuff to try to affect public policy.
Well, yeah, they also have people there that do research, that kind of thing, substantive, academic kinds of research. And these documents were there. We don't know exactly where they were, but they were there. What are the odds that perhaps somebody doing academic research might have stumbled into top secret
classified documents?
Yes.
Which, by the way, 6 years. He had them for 6 years.
They had them for a very long time. They obviously had to move them from someplace to the Biden Penn Center or the Penn Biden Center. So consequently, these documents were handled quite successfully. Now, the argument that's being made is that this is not the same as Mar-a-Lago because the Bidens are cooperating. And that in the Mar-a-Lago situation, Trump and his people were apparently lying to the FBI and obstructing justice. That's the partisan view of it. Now, we don't know that because there has been no indictments. There have been no grand juries. There have been nothing with respect to Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago's gone quiet.
It's because it's what was it we used to call the original Trump complaints, the Russian collusion, a great big nothing burger.
It could be. Now the thing is though is that so these documents were found by some private lawyers attending to looking through documents, they claim, at the Penn Center, whatever the hell it is, and they come across these documents. Well, the question really becomes when, because we don't know when, and here's why we don't.
We may never know.
Well, here's why we don't know when. What is the difference between the Mar-a-Lago situation and the Biden situation? They knew that Trump had the documents down there. They told him, they were negotiating with him, and they told him on one occasion, put him under lock and key, locked it down that room. He did. They had Secret Service everywhere. They were seeing it. They knew what was there. As opposed to the Penn-Biden Center and the garage next to Joe's Corvette. What did they have there?
And by the way, Roy, let's not get too shaken up about the garage. I mean, the president told us the garage was locked. I mean, come on.
Yeah, because he has his Corvette. Not because the documents are there. Because he has his Corvette.
His most prized possession is in there.
But to any extent, the whole point of it is that they went about. The problem is that it gets down to is that the private lawyers were allowed to do the discovery. They were allowed to discover. They called DOJ. They say. DOJ says, well, y'all get them, bring them on over here. Then they found them at the Biden house, and DOJ, y'all bring them on over here. All of this was done by private lawyers.
All this information's within an envelope that we don't get to see inside.
We don't see nothing. Now, they were all done by private lawyers. What happened at Mar-a-Lago when the raid occurred with respect to private lawyers? They were locked out of the raid. But here, they are allowed to rumble through the jungle and see anything they want.
Roy, I think we all know what the difference of the two situations is.
I think we do know what the situation is. Now, there's a couple more permutations to it. Mark Zanowatz, or I can't say his name, he was the ghostwriter for a book in 2017 by Biden called Promise Me Dad, discussing Biden's role in the Ukraine.
Wow, that is a mouthful of letters, isn't it? Zwolitzer?
I can't say. Yeah, Zwolitzer, I can't say. And in the book, Biden notes Michael Carpenter was keeping watch over the Ukraine. And after he left office, then Michael Carpenter ends up at the Biden Center.
Amazing how these things work.
And some of the documents they've admitted have to do with the Ukraine. So that's one thing. The second thing is, and when we come back, and we got about 20 seconds, I want to talk about this when we come back, which is the relationship of this all to China. Because the 54 million says there's a relationship, but there's more to it than that. And then when we come back, we'll take that up.
We're going to talk about the big T word. Is there a possibility?
Yeah, we sure will.
That the T word has been committed. More to come. Fletch Nation, 3 minutes. Stay right there.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, it starts at La Berge Baton Rouge. What's your story?
You could be driving a...
Now's the time to save on new Accords during Happy Honda Days at Team Honda of Acadiana. Get our lowest prices and biggest savings on our largest selection of Accords this year. Hurry in and save during Happy Honda Days at Team Honda of Acadiana, I-49 just south of Opelousas.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
Hey, we return with Fletch Nation. Roy Fletcher here, Kevin Gallagher here. Coming up later in the show, another one of our segments where Roy spent some time talking with coastal attorney John Carmouche. That always comes up later in the program. So, where did we leave off?
Well, we left off with Michael Carpenter.
Michael Carpenter.
I wanted to talk about something else on China. But before I leave Michael Carpenter, he became the managing director of
the Penn Biden Center.
Penn Biden Center. But he happened to be at a place that has an interesting component to this story. You remember when Biden was at the Atlantic Council, I think, and he talked about firing the prosecutor in the Ukraine? Because he said, if you want that billion,
in foreign aid, you'll fire that prosecutor.
And damn if they
who
did.
Was, by the way, looking into Burisma, where his son was a member of the board.
Well, this Michael Carpenter happened to be there that day with Joe. So, I mean...
That's a coincidence.
That's a coincidence. I mean, all of this is coincidental. So China, 54 million, right? Now, I don't know if that went directly to the Penn Center. All of it went directly to the Penn Center. Some of it went. But suddenly the University of Pennsylvania got 54 million from China when the Biden Center was open. Now, here's what's interesting. If you remember, Hunter was trying to do a deal with some people in China. People, I say that euphemistically, with high-ups in the CCP.
Business interests, but all businesses are what? Run by who? The government.
Yeah, well, anyway. So it kind of fell apart, but in the meantime, Hunter had rented some office space in Washington with Daddy and Jim Biden, Uncle Jim, and they had all kind of piled, we're going to pile into this office, and suddenly the deal kind of apparently fell apart. And by the way, it's just a headline right there. Wall Street Journal,
I just looked up
DOJ declined to have the FBI monitor the documents. So in short, they had the option and they declined it.
Yep.
Boy, I got to say one thing. Mitch McConnell probably saved America from a really bad Supreme Court justice who happens to be the Attorney General of the United States. He's turned out to be
been a very bad
worm and a scumbag.
You know, I'm wondering, though, he might have done less damage as a Supreme Court justice than he has at the DOJ.
Maybe so. But to any extent, so the $54 million. Well, the deal fell apart, but Hunter had already rented the office space. So he had to get his money back on the deposit, right? The amount he got back was $49,910 deposit on the office space.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where is that number? Where does that number? What interest that? See, Hunter said that on some kind of documents, he said that he was paying to rent the house where the documents were found, where some documents were found, from his daddy for $49,910 a month.
Wow. That's a mighty big coincidence.
It's a huge coincidence. And what's even worse is that in the 2018 tax returns for Joe Biden, he didn't list but $19,000 in rental.
Oops.
Whoops. Now, they have pulled those down. His income tax returns from 2017 and 2018 from his campaign website. They pulled them down. You can't see them anymore.
Yeah, what, the people that talked about Trump's tax returns for 6 years?
Well, isn't this interesting? If you remember the second debate in 2020, Joe Biden used Trump's lack of tax returns to attack him as sort of a rebuff to the notion that Hunter was scumming around. Mm-hmm. Remember?
Yep.
Now we have it clear that Hunter was scumming around. Joe's withdrawn his tax returns, and Trump has released his,
and they had nothing.
And nothing is found except he lost money.
Yeah, nothing remarkable in the Trump tax returns.
There's another interesting component to that 2020. Remember the 51 agents, national security people who said it's just a nothing burger, it's Russian disinformation about Hunter's laptop? Well, one has come out in the last few days in Australia and said, no, we knew that was real, but that's what it had to be, a certain amount of it real for it to be Russian disinformation.
A certain amount.
It sounds to me like he's admitting that it was
crap.
That what he said peddling is crap. Okay, so anyway, be that as it may.
I think you're going to start seeing people that are going to be coming forward and saying, I was just doing what I was told, I was saying what I was supposed to say, just doing my job.
I don't think so. Because I'll tell you why I think that won't happen that way is because as long as DOJ has this thing bottled up into a serious, they have it in a serious compartmentalized situation now, where there's almost no way to find out information. And if that continues, you're going to find out that nobody will really talk. Now, enter the Sandman. House Oversight Committee. New chairman is James Comer from the state of Kentucky. He is he's only been there like 5 years, and he's risen to chairman of the Oversight Committee. And he's not like Gowdy and some of these other people. He's not a flamboyant type. He's a worker bee, kind of a industrious kind of guy who hangs in there and does what he needs to do.
And gets stuff done.
And he's made it very clear that this committee is going to investigate this whole Hunter Biden thing. But he also makes it very clear, I'm not interested in Hunter Biden. He's a dope addict and a philanderer and a scumbag. I'm not interested in him. I'm interested in Joe Biden. What is his relationship to the business dealings of Hunter Biden? That's what his focus is.
Well, you've got to look at, when Hunter Biden is, at least by what people see of Hunter Biden, they think what you just said, dope addict, a ne'er-do-well, a mess up, a screw up. Well, he's not some kind of international crime boss. He's obviously a front for somebody else.
You would think. Now, the argument back is but what about Jared and the $2 billion from Saudi Arabia and Ivanka making all that money in China? Look here, and I've said this several times. If there was anything there, if there was a there, they'd already know it because they've investigated Trump so much. They have not investigated Biden at all, and now we're in this situation, and they're clearly not investigating.
They're not interested in investigating.
They are not interested in talking to Uncle Joe. Now we'll be right back, and we'll talk about the governor's race.
Come back for Fletch Nation.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
The season of inspiration is the perfect time to discover the enhanced Mazda CX-5, named a 2022 IIHS Safety Pick Plus Award winner, its highest safety award honor. Choose from over 45 CX-5s available at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda on Airline.
Hi gang, Clarence Buggs here, inviting you to come by Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Come by and feast on news, sports, current events, love of God and country, and lots of common sense, along with some of the best barbecue anywhere on the planet. 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Buggs Show.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Well, I know it's January, but we do have a race for governor coming up in the fall here in Louisiana. As John Bell Edwards is in his final year in office. The field is starting to take shape, although I still am anticipating some Democrats getting vocal about this race. But the most recent addition to it, we had late last week, State Senator Sharon Hewitt from Slidell announced her candidacy for governor. And this morning, the 18th, Richard Nelson, who was a state representative.
That wasn't exactly the announcement we were waiting for.
I don't think, look, I mean no disrespect to Mr. Nelson, but I don't think a lot of people that don't know him personally weren't waiting on the tip of their toes to hear his announcement for governor.
No, I think that there is questions with respect to the potential candidacy of Garrett Graves.
It's still very much being speculated on.
Yeah, very much being speculated on, and no definitive decision apparently yet, or at least hadn't been announced to us. So it really leaves us with not much of a race right now. And it leaves us with sort of a big open field that has Jeff Landry, the Attorney General, and Sharon Hewitt, Nelson.
John Schroeder, state treasurer.
John Schroeder, yes. And
Hunter Lundy is an independent. He's an attorney from Lake Charles.
Yes, yes. And that's about it. He's the independent, no party. And so that is about it. And that is not a field that is, I would think, that would keep people out. But on the other hand, to his credit, Jeff Landry has done two things I think are very important. One is he's raised a lot of money. I think Jeremy Alford the other day in his piece laid out very much how much money Landry has in his campaign and in his PACs and a supporting PAC. He got a lot of money. He also apparently has the blessing of the Trump organization. Junior was down here.
Junior likes him.
Yeah.
Junior's girlfriend likes him.
Yeah, and then finally he has received the endorsement of the Republican Central Committee, which is important because what it does is it allows more money to flow to him through various sundry means that are all legal. But the point of it is that it allows a great bit of money to flow through it. So right now, you would say that given that he is in the endorsement of the former president's operation, the money, and the endorsement of the Republican Party, clearly he is trying to sort of freeze the field.
And clearly,
and John Kennedy did not get in the race.
And clearly the Republican Party wants to help him freeze that field. They do not want any other Republicans running for governor.
Louis Gervich, chairman of the party, has said that. He put out an email last week saying there only should be one Republican in each race, which is kind of fascinating that in this democracy we're going to limit the choice of people. And particularly in Louisiana, in an open election system that is built around the notion of the more choices, the better. So there's an attempt to freeze the field, and it may very well work. But as you said, I think that the Democrats have to look at this field and say, look, we might have a chance to beat Landry. And for various and sundry reasons, we might have a chance to beat Landry. We need to have a good candidate to run because, after all, we've won the last two governor's races.
Yeah, but they had a lot of cooperation from the GOP.
Well, they had
winning those two races.
They had David Vitter.
Republican voters really helped a lot.
They did, but that's the point. The Republican voters helped a lot. You got to win 50% plus one to win. Mm-hmm. That David Vitter, what they considered not to be a good candidate, but he had just enough to get into the runoff with John Bel Edwards and got his butt spanked. And then Eddie Rispone found his way into it and got his butt spanked too. Mm-hmm. Not as bad as Vitter, clearly. It was a close race.
Well, the problem was the party couldn't take the Ralph Abraham in the last election, 19 rather. They couldn't translate the Ralph Abraham voters into Eddie Rispone voters.
Because they'd gotten to a fight anymore.
Right, there's hard feelings.
Any more than David Vitter could translate the Scott Ogell voters into And this leads to one of the problems with the open election system. On the other hand, I think the problem is outweighed by the choice, and that is that generally in an open election system, what's going to happen are the two most partisan will make it into the runoff. Mm-hmm. I used to say extreme, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say the two most partisan. In other words, the Democrat who can put together the base of the party, particularly African Americans, let's face it, and the Republicans who can put together sort of that hard, strong right wing of the party. And those two generally end up into a runoff. And then people have to choose. People in the middle have to choose which one of those are less onerous to them. That's basically what happens.
I do worry a little bit about the Attorney General running for governor because he's got a lot of support. He's got a lot of people that like him, think he's a fine man, but he's also got just as many people out there that are not excited about the idea of him running for governor. And I mean, we're talking about conservative voters that don't necessarily want him.
And that is why the notion that a Democrat will get a good Democrat, or the Democrats will try to find a good, acceptable candidate to run in this election, because they think that is the notion that, well, we don't particularly like Landry. That's why they have a chance to win. And it's no different than in 15, and it's no different than in 19.
But Roy, you talk about the Democrats finding a good candidate, and again, I'm not bringing any of these names up to cast any aspersions on them because I don't have any personal agenda against anybody, but a good candidate isn't the Secretary of DOTD. A good candidate is not necessarily a council person from the city of New Orleans that the rest of the state doesn't know.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I think that they have their downside.
Is there some former superstar in the Democratic Party waiting in the wings?
I think that we sit on one in East Baton Rouge Parish, and his name is Hiller Moore, and that's John Bell Edwards 2.0, and he'd be a hell of a candidate, a very, very good candidate. So,
what about somebody like a Landrew coming out of semi-obscurity?
Let's talk about it when we come back. We run out of time in this segment, but I think it's worth considering.
All right, coming right back.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hi, I'm Katie, Operation Manager here at Old School Barbecue. We're excited about all of the changes here at Old School, and we'd like to invite everyone to come out and enjoy some delicious barbecue at Old School prices. We feature brisket, chicken, ribs, sausage, and the Boss Hog pulled pork sandwich voted best deal in town. We also have live music Friday and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. 10655 Coursey Boulevard. We can't wait to see you.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Gallagher High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hey everybody, I'm Kevin Gallagher. This is Roy Fletcher. We hope you'll join us for Fletch Nation, especially if you like talking politics.
Hey, come and join us. We'll give you the information, and then we'll give you the context. And by the way, we'll give you fun too.
Lots of fun. We hit the local races, the state. We even look at what's going on all across America. And by the way, this space is available. If you'd like to talk about advertising, send your emails to royfletcher at royfletcher.com and join us every week here on the Pelican for Fletch Nation.
The biggest sale of the year is happening right now during Happy Honda Days at Team Honda. For a limited time, make no payments for 90 days on every new Honda. That's right, you choose and make no payments for 90 days at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda on Segan Lane.
Spiders. Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to Fletch Nation. Glad to have you with us. Coming up still in the program, another one of our conversations with John Carmouche, coastal attorney. So we're talking about the governor's race. We're talking about, is there maybe some Democrat with statewide name recognition who is maybe waiting in the wings that could get into this race?
Well,
and could it be anybody whose name we know from the past?
Well, you mentioned Mitch.
Yeah,
and,
Landrew.
Yeah. The problem with that is that, and I don't say he couldn't win, but the truth is that he's very much tied to the Biden administration now at the hip.
Mm-hmm.
And that will not make it any easier for him. And whether or not he wants to give up control of the infrastructure money nationally, which is what he's doing, I doubt he would want to do that. He has less of a headache doing that than he would controlling what few dollars we have down here for infrastructure. You know, I mean, being a governor is a hard job.
Is there any Democrat you can think of in the legislature that might make a viable candidate for governor?
I think the viable candidate for governor is Democrats. I do think Helen Marina is a very viable candidate, but I think that Hillary Moore is a very interesting candidate that would be difficult for Republicans to beat. And it's interesting because he matches up with Landry on the prosecutorial axis, and you would have two sort of law enforcement people running for attorney.
He's also
for the governor.
I think it's safe to say in East Baton Rouge Parish, he's seen as I don't think a lot of people think of him as a Democrat.
No, they don't.
But he's seen as being not soft on crime, which is a common critique of some Democrat attorneys.
But he's certainly not a George Soros prosecutor.
Attorneys.
He's certainly not a George Soros prosecutor.
Right.
You know, I think that's what you're saying.
But they're going to have their hands full just getting him the statewide name recognition he's going to need to get across the finish line.
$1.5 million to buy that. Okay.
It's a lot of airtime.
Yeah, you buy that, and
a lot of airtime, a lot of morning shows in Monroe and Ruston, and
you can get real well known in about a month.
Yep.
You know, just write the check and roll, and
you know, as a
that would be the issue.
Former radio show host, I can tell you, Hillary Moore's a good interview. We always used to enjoy having him on the show.
Very, very good. I mean, he's very good. He's very calming, and he makes a good appearance. And so, I mean, but that's sort of the situation that we have. What the question becomes, the Garrett Graves potential candidacy raises the bigger issue. And here's, strategically, this is the way it breaks down. You have Jeff and you have whatever the Democrat is, assuming one that. And then you have all this in the middle. And the Garrett Graves candidacy, if it should transpire or even if it don't, it's just the fact that's being discussed, is a recognition of that middle. Okay, a large portion of the state. And so the question becomes, who fills that middle? Now, it puts pressure on Landry, and it puts pressure on the Democrat to get to the middle. Okay, to try either to the right middle or to the left middle, either way you want to look at it. And that puts pressure on those candidates to do that. And my guess is that Jeff Landry, if he sees that he's blocking this field up pretty good, will begin to move to some extent to the middle. Not, I don't say all the way, but to some extent. Schroeder's candidacy is kind of inhibited because he is of the same sort of ilk as Landry on the right, but he's not the first choice of the right. Landry is, period. And so the question becomes, who can get, if the field stays the way it is with the Democrat, who can get to that middle to get a 50%? That becomes the issue, and so that means that it puts pressure on those two on the extreme to sort of move and change some of their rhetoric and speak a little more on issues that may not be what they would normally talk about. Okay, so I think that we can start looking forward to that, assuming the field stays the same. Garrett Graves, the point being there with him is that he is somewhat more of a middle conservative as opposed to a right conservative.
I think a lot of people don't see him as a hard right kind of a guy.
I don't either, and I think that's the whole point there. And he makes it. Now, I mean, that's assuming, for example, that somebody with a load of money, $10 million, don't write a check and step into the race. I don't see that happening right now, but if it stays the way it is, that may very well happen. Yes, I mean, Eddie Rispone was Eddie Rispone, wrote a check and ran.
Yep.
There's other Eddie Rispones out there that could write a check and run. And the question is, will that happen? But the point of it is that whoever it is will not be of the right. Like Rispone, he got to the right of Ralph Abraham, and Abraham didn't have a chance. Once Rispone did that, he got to the right of Abraham. So the question is now, it's kind of getting more to the middle if you want to write the check.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if you're going to write the check, you're going to move to the middle quickly. So that's kind of the game that's being played out now, and I think that explains all of the machinations that are occurring.
Actual qualifying for the elections in the fall doesn't begin until I think early August.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
That's a whole lot of time for people to make up their mind, get in, get out, and a whole lot of time for us to talk about it too.
Oh yeah, and talk about it. We can't help but talk about it because it's the future of our state. I do think that whatever happens in this race, if we don't have an election about big ideas and big things, Louisiana, let's just face it. Well, we got a surplus, and I mean all that. Wonderful, thank you, Governor, whoever. Thank you, federal government, for sending all the money down. Yeah. Whatever the case may be. But the fact of the matter is, Louisiana's falling behind. I mean, we look at Florida and Texas and even Mississippi and Alabama. Louisiana's one of the. It ranks per capita with New York and Illinois in exodus rates. I said per capita.
Per capita.
Okay.
We're falling behind. Education, infrastructure, crime. We're falling behind.
We're falling way behind. So this election should be about doing big things rather than talking about, well, teachers need a pay raise or whatever. The general kind of garbage that's spewed out and may or may not be dealt with, and who knows what. I mean, so you give teacher pay raise, what's that do? I mean, it improves their lives, and I'm for that. But the question becomes, does that improve your education system? Well, no, it hasn't, and probably won't. So those kind of things become. They've got to be bigger. They've got to be a bigger approach to this state because either we turn it around or we lose it. Yep. And that's where we are.
Lawmakers need to make better use of their legislative time and efforts as well. I want to touch on that when we come back, but right now it's time for us to take a short break. And we also still have a conversation with the Coastal Attorney John Carmouche coming up before we finish things up here on Fletch Nation.
That's an interesting point we'll make when we come back to it. I want to make it too.
Come back. We'll see you.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystonecountryClub.com.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With private healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready. And health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, it starts at La Berge Baton Rouge. What's your story?
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
Roy, before the break, we were talking about legislative session coming up, and I keep an eye on bills filed for the legislative session. And this year is what we call a fiscal-only session.
Right.
Uneven numbered years, or fiscal-only session, where they mostly just deal with state money matters.
Right.
Each lawmaker is allowed to file up to 5 bills that are not fiscal in nature. So you got 5 bills that you can file. Now, I read where, I'm not going to name the lawmakers, no point, but the bill is filed, and the bill would require that the words "In God We Trust" be emblazoned in every classroom in the state. Now, there's already a law in the books that says they have to be posted somewhere in the school, somewhere prominently in the school. But apparently school kids are coming home and saying, I don't see that sign anywhere.
Yeah.
So now it's got to be in the classroom. Is that the best use of a lawmaker's time when we've got so many? Give me your thoughts on that before we go to John Carmouche.
Well, the point of it is that it's something that can actually get done and it won't take a lot of time to do it, and it's important to certain people and important to, it's our nation's slogan or emblem or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, motto.
Motto, yeah. So the point is that, okay, fine, get that over with and get on with the stuff. No, it's not the biggest thing in the world, not even the closest to it, but on the other hand, it's sort of a recognition. I'll move on from that. The truth is that, you mentioned earlier, I won't even mention the legislator, but that you were talking about insurance reform in the state of Louisiana with all of these companies and and this person happened to say, oh, I'm in North Louisiana, I don't care about all that, South Louisiana. Well, that's the kind of stuff that makes no sense. For example, what Carmouche is talking about is the whole coastal thing, and that's South Louisiana. But I got news for you. If you don't fix it, if the people that did it don't fix it, guess who's going to fix it? People in North Louisiana that get taxed for it.
Right.
And that's exactly what's going to happen with insurance.
We are one state. We are not 2 states.
People being dribbled.
Thanks for mentioning John Carmouche, because it's time to cut to him right now. Another one of Roy's visits with John Carmouche coming right at you.
Well, welcome back. We're with John Carmouche, a well-known coastal and environmental lawyer in Louisiana, a land lawyer. And we've been talking about sort of your past and your education and what sort of brought you to the fight for the coastal Louisiana. There's bigger issues, though, it seems, John. There's a new poll out by the New York Times over the weekend, the Siena College poll, that had 13% of the country in a good mood about the direction of the United States. What do you think about the direction of our country?
I think it's going in the wrong way. I mean, it's too divided, Roy. Too much politics. I grew up in a political family, but also grew up believing in the real world. And I think we've lost the touch of actually working together and putting politics aside. You can have your views, and I believe in strong conservative views myself as a Republican, but I also believe in a real world working together. I give the example that, we show up at work every day. There's so many businesses in Louisiana that are huge and making a large difference in Louisiana. They show up to work every day to work together as a business. They don't show up every day to say, are you a Republican, Democrat, Independent? They show up every day, they work together, and they accomplish huge things in Louisiana. But it just seems like as soon as you turn on the political TV,
when you walk in the state capitol,
it's politics. And everybody forgets that Louisiana needs to be run like a business. And to do that, you have to work together. And I think we've lost that in this state.
I can't think of a way to get it back either. But the fact is that the point that you're making is that it's a necessity.
It's an absolute necessity. This state needs to turn in the direction of working together as a business to bring businesses here and to grow the economy and bring our kids back.
Well, you bring up the economy. I mean, what do you think of the general direction of Louisiana and our economy in Louisiana is right now?
It's terrible. I mean, we're in the 21st century and we're running this state like it's 1950. It's time to change. It's time to be pro-business. It's time to bring our kids back and make them want to come back. And right now, we need dramatic change on education. We need a dramatic change on how we deal with businesses. We need to bring the oil industry back. I mean, everybody says I'm against the oil industry. I'm not against the oil industry.
We talked about that last week. I mean, you're quite the opposite, correct?
I am the opposite because I believe in if we zero out the liability, we can bring back.
You mean the sort of the coastal liability?
Clear the coastal liability, clean up this state, and make them want to come back. And we can bring the oil industry back. We have to make the dramatic change in the state that we've needed for a long, long time, and not just because of the oil industry.
That's one of the things that you have talked about that's so different, and that is, for right now, for the Biden administration had taken the position that the 5-year plan on offshore drilling, they're just not even going to bring it up anymore. They're not going to discuss it. On the other hand, you've taken the position if you clean up the coast and the liability gets cleaned up, then what you want is an industry that can drill and manufacture and produce, and the liability be gone.
Not only the liability be gone, but there are great operators in the state of Louisiana today. And there are great operators that want to come here in Louisiana.
In the oil and gas industry.
In the oil and gas industry. Yeah. And get our industry and our people back to work and do it the right way.
Yeah.
And that's the key, is do it the right way, bring them back, grow the economy with zero liability, and let's move on.
One of the things that has been discussed in the last couple of weeks, Governor Ducey of Arizona has passed what they call the most Education Freedom Choice Act in the country, where basically the money follows the student rather than going to the county or the school board or what. It follows the student. Wherever the student goes, whatever school the student decides to go to, the money follows. When you say dramatic change from Louisiana in education, that would be something that you'd want to look at, I would assume, huh?
Definitely. I mean, I have to study it, but my position on education is we have to get our kids to want to stay here. And our education, it needs a dramatic change in how we educate our kids, because our kids have to want to be educated. You can't make and force these kids to do something they don't want to do. So there's a lot of things that look at trade schools and getting these kids to be educated on the jobs we have for them in Louisiana. And
market sensitive.
Yeah. And make this a state where we promote working here. not promoting outside of the state.
Right.
So I think all of those programs are great programs to look at, and definitely the state of Louisiana needs a change in education.
But you would say that if you're not teaching the basics and doing the basics, reading, writing, and arithmetic, you're not really accomplishing much, are you?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
That's the kind of dramatic change Louisiana needs. We have a couple of things that I kind of call it the quick round, and we'll go ahead and get into a little bit of that. You give me quick answers to questions that people ask. One is like you say you're a Republican. What's your position like on the Second Amendment?
I'm for it, Roy.
I mean, that's pretty much says it all right there. You're for it, you know. What about immigration, illegal immigration, and that sort of thing?
I'm for building the wall. I'm for keeping them out. This is the United States of America, and as long as you legally come here, then I think you should go through the process.
I got you. So now, John, if I've taken my cue properly, we can now go to a break, and we'll be back in a moment. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Always good to have a few words with John Carmouche. I understand we're going to be recording some more segments.
In fact, next week. So I mean, it's interesting that when you talk about that insurance and that North Louisiana saying, or somebody up there saying, "Oh no, that's South Louisiana's problem." Well, it's just like the coast is South Louisiana's problem, except somebody's going to pay for it. Mm-hmm. And
they're already paying for it. If you got property insurance in North Louisiana, you got assessments on your property insurance to pay for.
And it's
so many people having to be on Louisiana citizens.
It's coming. It's just coming. So, you know, that's the way it is. You know, Kevin, one of the stories, we left out a bunch of stuff, but one of the stories that we're seeing now that's really increasingly pop up is the cartels along the Mexican border are getting quite aggressive.
They sure are.
And there is a war going on in the nation of Mexico between the cartels and the federales. Mm-hmm. And that war spilled over into California this past few days with the murder of 6 people. It was a cartel killing. And, you know, I think maybe they should have finished that wall.
Maybe so.
And instead of having open borders. And it's kind of interesting to me that we get so neurotic about hydrochloroquine and what is that?
Ivermectin?
Ivermectin. But to stop that stuff, but we can't stop fentanyl. We don't seem to have a real desire to stop fentanyl, do we? Which is killing the hell out of people in this country.
It's who's dying. I think that until they care about who's dying from it, they're not going to care about doing anything about it.
It's really disgraceful.
It really is.
But anyway, so next week we'll be back and we could talk about governor's race and a few more things that I didn't get to talk about this week that I really do want to talk about.
We keep rolling through 2023. Fletch Nation returns next week. Take care. Would you answer?
You've been listening to Fletch Nation with Roy Fletcher and Kevin Gallagher. Remember, if you heard something that ticked you off, upset your sensibilities, or threatened your precious safe space,
the opinions expressed by the hosts and guests are purely their own and do not reflect those of this radio station or its advertisers.
So if you're calling a lawyer, or planning a boycott, or a cancel campaign, forget about it and join us next week for more Fletch Nation.